Hello, how are you everyone? Today we are doing the orientation training, and last time we did the overview of the HCA training, which is 75 hours. So today we're gonna start for the orientation part. You are taking this orientation training because you are going to be a caregiver. So this orientation training, there is a link on DSH's website that I already sent to each of you. I'm sure you have it. If you don't have it, feel free to call me. I'll send it right away so you can read it. Okay. Orientation, this is the book for orientation that you can see online. You can print it or you can use it on your computer to read it. It has like 15 pages, it's not too much. Okay, a person requiring care is referred to by many different names. Example you may hear include client, resident, consumer, or participant. In this orientation, we have used client to represent any of this. Usually, we do in adult family home, you a resident, but in nursing home and hospital and things like that, they call them client. But for this class, the book uses it as client. So the orientation training gives you an overview of what you need to know and do in your new job. Your role as LTC worker or long-term care worker is to provide quality care and support services to the people who live where you work. These services are essential to the health, continued independence, and well-being of the client in your care. To provide quality care, you must understand your role as a LTC worker, complete all your assigned tasks to the best of your ability each day, respect client choices in how and when they would like these tasks done, keep clients safe, learn and follow the policies and procedures for your employees. You see here, she's an elderly person, she's a caregiver, caring. So all clients, they have a right. A client has a right to privacy. When performing personal care, screen over or cover a client. Make sure doors and windows curtains are closed. Only share medical, finance, or other personal information about a client when appropriate. Care team members. Give the client privacy for phone call and visits. Let a client open mail in a private. So confidentiality and privacy are very important for client. Client have the right to have all medical, financial, and personal matters kept private. Have a private privacy in his or her own personal space and during personal care. And we call them HIPAA, Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act. This is very, very important. HIPAA is a federal law that adds additional requirement for the use and disclosure of health information. A major goal of HIPAA is to make sure a person's health information is properly protected while still allowing the flow of health information needed to provide high quality care. So HIPAA, or Health Insurance Portability Account Act, is very important. You need to memorize this. It will be on the exam all the time. So there are tips that helps you keeping client record confidential. So like do not leave client record lying out unattended. Refile any client record immediately in their proper location once you are done with them. Be aware of who is in the area when reviewing or updating a client record. Do not discuss what you learn from a client record with anyone outside of your care team. When clients need help with care for an extended period of time, it's referred to as a long-term care. A client may be elderly or frail, have a disease or condition making it hard, impossible to do certain tasks without help, have a fallen or had any type of accident, have a developmental disability. At this point, I mean, if you guys are taking planning to work in a family home, I'm sure you have a few ideas where you are going. I mean, um, you are going to take care of these elderly people usually. Your role in protecting client rights is you treat them with respect, support the client choice and independence, protect the client privacy and confidential information, keep clients safe. So depending on where you work, home care aides, they work in different setting. The first one is in-home care. That means most adults who need care get service and support to remain at home in their own home. One person, if they have like the financial ability, they don't want to go to adult family home or assisted living. They stay in their home, and a caregiver go to their home and give them a care. That's called in-home care. And the other one is residential care. Residential care is another option for a client who needs help with care. Adult family home and assisted living facilities are examples of this care. Basic job responsibilities of LTC worker or long-term care workers are here. Understand the client care needs and perform your assigned task correctly and efficiently as documented in client care plan or negotiated service agreement. Every person have a provider will do a client care plan or negotiated care plan. So if you are working at a family home, usually it's a negotiated care plan. If you're working in assisted living facilities, they usually have a care plan, client care plan. So you look at those things before you give care for those people and know how and when client prefers to have this task completed. Respect and follow the client choice. Observe the client for change in health and well-being. Document in a report any changes you see using the policies and procedures. Respond to emergency appropriately. Come to work on time. Call your supervisor if you can't make a shift. Dress appropriately. If you do not understand what it means to dress appropriately, ask your supervisor. Usually comfortable pants, something that covers your chest, comfortable shoes, like that. Uh, Not flip-flop shoes, you know. It's not convenient for work and it's not good for safety. For the health and safety of a client, complete all the tasks assigned to you. Okay, now you understand where to get information before you start jobs, and you understand who are the population that you are taking care of. So usually getting the information you need is very important. You and the client need to know what you are expected to do, understand the limits of your work, feel like part of the same team. Avoid misunderstanding later by discussing the care task carefully when you first began. So care plans are usually like informations. each client has a written care plan. Care plan usually is in assisted living, so you have to go there and ask where the care plan is located and read what the care plan is talking about the client. That usually help you to understand before you give care. A written care plan helps make sure the client receives consistent quality care. That means his or her needs. A client care plan changes as his or her care needs change. If you couldn't find it, make sure you ask that, especially if you work in a home care setting or in assisted living. Usually you have to ask. But for adult family home, it's an negotiated care plan. It's usually in their chart, so you can ask the provider how you get it. Talk about the care plan or task list. Be patient. If a client finds talking about these issues difficult, a client may not be used to talking about each personal matters. A client may find it hard to admit that he or she needs help. It may be hard to explain a routine he or she had for years. So sometimes if you don't understand the care plan, it's a good idea to ask the client how you complete some tasks. Asking good questions helps you get the information you need to do your job correctly. When you begin a new assignment, agree with the client on a routine and then stick with it. And then a routine or schedule help you to finish all your tasks. I'm sorry about that. Ask questions specific to the task. For example, do you prefer a bath or a shower this morning? Ask questions that are open-ended rather than questions that can be answered yes or no. For example, asking, what would you like for breakfast? Will get you better information than asking, do you want breakfast now? Ask questions that start with what, when, where, why, and how. For example, the care plan says you are to help with bathing. Ask questions like, how hot do you like your bath water? What type of soap works well for you? Something like that. Good communication is very important in this job. Watching the client's body language carefully to see what his or her actions and gestures may be telling you, listening carefully to any comment from the client. Sometimes all clients, they don't talk, so you have to look at the client's body language. What is the client wants? Make sure you understand the client's routine. What do they do when they get up in the morning? If they want to brush their teeth, let them brush their teeth. Don't dress them up. It depends. Each person has their own routine. Assist with tasks in the way that works best for the client. Learn more about client preferences. Get feedback on how you are doing the job. Meet the client for the first time. So what do you do when you're meeting a client for the first time? First, you go to the house. You review the client care plan before you meet, if possible. If you are working in a home, they usually have a care plan ahead. When you're getting a job assigned, before you go there, you kind of read it. In an adult family home, usually the provider will explain to you about that person, but it's good to read the negotiated care plan in their chart to get more information about the person. And then introduce yourself and explain why you are there. My name is so I am here to take care of you, to do this. It makes it easier to explain why you are there. Ask the client what name he or she would prefer to use. That makes it much better too. And listening is very important. You need to listen to the clients. Help build trust with the client. Encourage honest sharing thoughts and feelings. Make sure you accurately hear what other person say. Good, good listening also give a client time to find the right words. Encourage the client to continue by saying, I see, tell me more, or by nodding your head. Ask questions and get more information when you are unclear. Do not jump in with your idea or advice. Wait until you ask. Be willing to listen things. A client needs to say, don't avoid a subject because you are comfortable with it. And you also need to see the body language. What are the person trying to tell you? Your actions, how your body and your facial expressions are all nonverbal communications or body languages. A client body language may tell you more about how he or she feel than what he or she say. Watch for nonverbal signs that help you better understand what's happening with a client. Watch for words and body language that do not match. In most cases, the body will tell you what's really happening. Be professional when asking your supervisor or boss what you want to do. Usually, do like a business communication. There are times when you need to talk with your supervisor or other managers when you have concerns, questions, problems with a coworker or your schedule. It is your responsibility to act professionally and resolve issues before things get out of hand. Don't delay or hide problems. Be positive. Ask what you need. Okay, another thing is about the phone. There's usually a phone in the house, so when the phone rings, you are the one need to answer. Answering the phone at work requires good business phone ethics. Take a deep breath and focus on the call. Have pen and paper ready or handy. Smile as you pick up the phone. Smile while your talk comes across in your voice. Use a tone that's helpful, natural, and respectful. Say the name of the facility, your full name. Ask, how may I help you? So let's say you can pick it up. If it is your home, you will say hello. But if you are working, it's different. My name is so and so. I'm this facility. What can I help you? That way, the other line, whoever is listening, knows you know your job very well. Okay, now emergency communication. Since you are there with the client, you are responsible for any emergency that's happening at that time. It is your responsibility to know to whom and how you are to communicate with others in the building, home, or during an emergency where the policy and procedures are documented. Communicating well with others, care team members, is an essential part of your job. Long-term care workers often spend more time with a client than other care team members. You are a valuable source of information regarding a client's day-to-day health well-being. So make sure you document and report and observe the clients. Observe them so you know how they are. And documenting is very important. When you document, cover all the facts when documenting and reporting. When, date and time, when observed, what happened, write down the objective facts. Where you observe this happening, how long, how often this happens, who was present, involved, notified, what actions did you took. Your role as a mandatory reporter. You are a mandatory reporter. Unfortunately, there may be times when what you are going to report. By Washington State, your responsibility as LTC worker goes beyond a moral obligation. It's also the law. You are a mandatory reporter. Your role as a mandatory reporter, so you have to know what numbers to call. Usually it's posted in the adult family home or assisted living, the, the phone numbers that you need to call if you see something that you need to report, like abandonment, abuse, sexual abuse, physical abuse, chemical abuse, mental abuse, personal exploitations. These are all different kind of abuses, financial exploitation and neglect. All this you can read them and study them very well. It's very important. You need to know them, and you are a mandatory reporter, so you need to report. The numbers are usually posted in the adult family home or assisted living facilities. Adult family home, this is the number, and you need to report. Okay, so we just go through the orientation part. Thank you very much. There's a lot to learn when starting a new job. This orientation has given you an overview of some of the most important things to know and where to go to get more information in the weeks ahead. Thank you very much for staying for the whole orientation. Feel free to call me if you have any questions.